Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to my live chat about these Doctor Strange journalistic reactions. These are the initial reactions from the Shield Access Media. So we're going to go through them. Then I'm going to tell you my perspective on these reactions as well. So we're going to do that, and let's do that. Doctor Strange is filled with hugely entertaining sequences. This is from Courtney Howard. Character-driven, heft, and kaleidoscopic, trippy visuals. Exotti Gomez is a scene stealer. Elizabeth Olsen owns Benedict Cumberbatch. See how she puts his name third, the star of the movie, apparently. Superb. Doubles as a good entry point for beginners. Horror has Raimi's signature. And that's what she's got to say about that. Then we have pop culture. I just walked out of the Doctor Strange world premiere. Guys, it's one of the most intensively epic superhero films ever. Sam Raimi has brought glorious horror to the MCU. Yes, because the MCU have invented the horror genre. I bet you, right, when you see this film, you're going to say, is this horror? Is this actually horror? Anyway, that's what he's saying. Villager. Hi, Mick. Good morning to you, Villager. So, pop culture. I can't praise Elizabeth Olsen's performance enough, but for now, all I'll say is that she truly delivered, and the audience was cheering for Wanda constantly. Imagine giving her her own movie without Doctor Strange. How well do you think that would do? Pop culture. The spoilers don't mean anything. Of course they do. The story's so satisfying regardless. The film perfectly balances the drama, humor, and emotion. What an incredible experience. Thanks for the invite. Yes, so you could get access and say nice things about their movie. That's why you're there. I will say that Wong and Mordo were still way underused. Yeah, the way they were setting up Mordo in the first movie was like he was going to be a big deal. Typical MCU. Definitely wish we got more of both. Benedict Wong deserves a Disney Plus show to give him the story he deserves. Because I know you all care, yes, there are mid-credits and post-credits stingers. Need to watch again. So that's pop culture. Now we have Perry Nemiroff. Doctor Strange. Marvel made a horror movie. Yes, Marvel invented the horror genre. Didn't you know? The thing is, this stunted generation wouldn't know horror if it knocked them on the head and said hello. It's weird, scary, and earns the title Multiverse of Madness. If you were at all concerned this movie wouldn't feel Sam Raimi enough, fear not. I can't imagine a more Sam Raimi MCU film. My genre-loving heart is bursting right now. So that's that. Not much saying there, so they didn't have much to say. Now there's Dino Ray Ramos. So Doctor Strange was a fun as ride and loved how they let Sam Raimi do whatever the hell he wanted. Exotti Gomez is a star and should have been called the Scarlet Witch in the Multiverse of Madness, right? I think that's a criticism. Also, Marvel needs to up their wig budget. Rachel's wig wasn't it. Anyway, yes, modern day journalism. Shout out to Book of Ashanti, fun ass ride. I mean, the sequel did serve Doctor Strange Multiverse tea, but you can't deny that this was basically WandaVision Part 1.5. Seriously though, this isn't spoiling anything, but they were saying Book of Ashanti, right? So that's him. Diego Anadlulas. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a wild cameo-filled ride. Elizabeth Olsen stands out with an incredible performance, and Sam Raimi delivers a marvelous visual spectacle infused with personality and a breakneck pace that would have benefited from a stronger structure. What MCU movie has a strong structure? Is there an after credit scene, 1 or 2? The movie is released this Thursday in my country. Oh, right. So, oh yeah, that's the commenter. That's not his review. Sorry about that. Anyway, so Now we have Maggie Bokella. Doctor Strange is the most weird, grimy, horrific fun I've had at a Marvel movie in ages. Notice she says Marvel movie and not another movie in general. Sam Raimi gets to flex his horror muscles, and Elizabeth Olsen, here we go again, is a Median masterclass on feminine trauma and what we're willing to do to cope with our own losses. Hell yeah, poor women. Jyoti Gomez also knocks it out of the park. She hasn't mentioned Benedict Cumberbatch, and I can't wait to see more of America Chavez. Girls run the damn world in this one, but not in the real world. And you all know I'm always down for that. I bet you are. So that's her. Let's have a look at these comments. Rewind the times. I was at it. It was very good. The cameos are jaw-dropping. Villager, oh my God, can you tell us about it? Rewind the times. Rewind the times. MCU got their horror movie. That's what you call horror. Don't swear. Villager, I don't know. That's a huge leap. If it's genuinely horror, I'm expecting actual horror, not just elements of it. Yeah, it won't be horror. Not the horror that you know and I know. Rewind the times, but the cameos went good with the storyline, so there's a storyline. So the cameos went good with the storyline, so they went just thrown in there for a cameo, you know? Did I turn the light on? Yes, I did. I thought I did turn my light on. Rewind the time. My girlfriend jumped out of her seat with some jump scares. Did the popcorn burst out the cup or something? Right, let's get on with these reactions. Eric Italiano, Multiverse of Madness very much feels like both a Sam Raimi movie and a day in the life of Doctor Strange. Is the MCU formula perfected? Despite the franchise multiversal implications and reveals, the film is very much self-contained and focused on its own story and style. Think about this for a minute. He's just said there's loads of cameos, right? Then he said it's apart from that, it's self-contained. How can it be self-contained if it's got cameos? Eric Italiano, Multiverse of Madness does an incredible job of understanding what makes Doctor Strange so cool and capitalizing on those powers and flaws in terms of visuals, plotting, and thematics. Classic MCU elements mixed with throwback superhero sequel arcs and legit horror tropes. Tropes. That's not horror. Not sure it lived up to the overblown expectations I had for it, but it's certainly better than the original Doctor Strange and one of the best MCU sequels ever made. My bar was high, I'm sure it wasn't, and Marvel reached it. Not sure about cleared it, but absolutely met it. So that's Eric Italiano. Here's Ben Kendrick. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a great follow-up to the Sorcerer's first solo film and should make fans excited for the future films. Still, it suffers from the same issue as No Way Home, albeit with better overall story. Weightless cameos over substance at times. Isn't that what sums up the MCU? There is no substance in the MCU. Ben Kendrick, that said, it's certain to be a crowd pleaser and one of the better second solo outings in the MCU. Great visuals, minus one thing I have to rail about once more people have seen it. Fun characters and another solid step in the Strange's MCU character journey. Lastly, Jyoti Gomez, I'm telling you that Feige and Marvel Studios are forcing these critics, using the terms loosely, to basically complement the LGBTQ character and obviously Wanda. Jyoti Gomez is terrific as America Chavez. She's a great balance to Strange and a very welcome addition to the MCU as a whole. P.S. I will not be answering plot points, not here for that. We talk about when the general public has seen it, maybe even on podcasts where Rob Keys and Coffee Outlaw and I reunite to talk about geeky things each week, which exists maybe in the multiverse, maybe here. Point of clarification on that cameo point. What Multiverse of Madness doesn't do is deal with the emotion or fallout of the film's impact on virtually anyone outside of the people on the poster. That's the issue with this. I know that guy, Nostalgia, the MCU, is leaning on lately. They're doing it in every film. They've been doing it since the first Avengers film because it's easy, because it's lazy. Rewind the times. There are 2 end scenes and not a movie credit. There's 2 post-credit scenes, apparently. I just love being entertained, but personally, I can't wait for Black Adam. I'm a DC guy. Ben Kendrick, sure that the storytelling technique is a staple of comics, but in big solo movies that only come out every 4 or 5 years, it's style over substance, fun in the moment, but makes the movie less rewatchable. Exactly. And this is where we are, isn't it? We're in the rewatchable era of movie making. Less rewatchable and less impactful overall, even if they make loads at the box office. So there's that one. So let's find where I was. Ben Kendrick. So now, let's go back because I've lost where I was for some reason because this stupid app. Right, where are we? Right, this is like Kurosawa. Let me just see if I can shut these curtains because it's very... Well, that's slightly better, isn't it? Right, where are we? So this is like Kurosawa, I Make Mad. Social media embargo is down. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's delightful, just a quick fun. Listen to this. Just a quick fun, breezy action horror fantasy movie packed with stuff, but not overplotted or dragged out. Well, it's 2 hours, so it's not going to be dragged out, is it? Old-fashioned hero whose deal you already know, takes on a case, story, no bullshit. People who've over-obsessed over cameos and multiverse expansion references might come away complaining. This is not another No Way Home. That stuff is cool as hell, but also smart part of the straightforward project, the Golden Child, Wizard's Jewel story. So basically, he's saying this is a quick and easy movie with nothing much to it and not the cameos that everyone thought they were going to get. Okay, then. So it sounds like the film's as interesting as that reaction. Right, we have an honest guy now, Chris Gore. Now, let me give you some background to Chris Gore. Chris Gore is very critical of modern-day Hollywood, and he thinks that, like me, that they're full of creative bankruptcy. Radino1, hello, Mike. My phone's ringing. I'm going to have to answer it. Right, where are we? Sorry about that. So, this is what Chris Gore had to say. As I said, he's a very, very big critic of modern day Hollywood. Villager, everything after Endgame has been mediocre, but super. Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and Fox X-Men is better than the MCU. I couldn't agree more. Felt more like the comics to me than MCU. What's really weird about what Bryan Singer did with those first 2 movies, Bryan Singer isn't a Marvel stan. Bryan Singer isn't a DC stan. He doesn't read comic books. He didn't read comic books. He clearly studied comics to do the first 2 X-Men. He pulled it off. After he went to do Superman Returns, I think his confidence was hit. He came back, and obviously the stuff he delivered wasn't as good anymore. So this is what Chris Gore had to say. It's 2 hours and felt 2 hours too long, lacks heart and humor, falls flat. The fan service cameos couldn't save it. Felt a bit too Disney Plus to me. Plotline out of a video game. Big disappointment. So that's all he's got to say about that. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting from Chris Gore. So there are a selection of these reactions. I was going to read Soups' reaction, but there's no point because the lad is a shill. So this is what we're getting now from Feig. in the MCU, we are getting a kind of, there's a male hero. We'll do him right, but we'll force a woman in there and really make her the star of the show. We have an LGBTQ character who's obviously not identified as a woman, America Chavez. And then we've got Wanda, who I'm sure is excellent. Wanda has always been great. Bat Super. Soup's reaction is let's go. Listen, the guy's a shill. The guy's a shill. And that Blu-ray Angel guy. And these influencers are getting access. That's why they get access, because they're shilling all the time. So we've got now, and let me explain to you. Do you know after Avengers, the first Avengers Assemble, right? They realized that everyone wanted to see these characters together, right? So what they did was they thought, right, every origin movie, we'll just shove a cameo. We'll shove Sam Jackson or Robert Downey Jr. This is what people want. And they were making more money. So when they first started doing that, each origin movie was making $1 billion, but they weren't real origin movies. So when they say, the DC origin movie didn't do as well as a Marvel origin movie, it's because a Marvel origin movie has loads of cameos and Easter eggs, right? If it was just look at the money that Doctor Strange 1 made. Doctor Strange 1 didn't make lots and lots of money because it was a self-contained origin movie, like the first 4, like the Captain America movie. Now, the first Iron Man did really well because that was the first entry and people were really excited. So they're not real origin movies. So this is a sequel. Basically, this is really this is, as one of them said, WandaVision 1.0, right? That's what it is. It's not even a Doctor Strange vehicle. So that's what you're going to get now. So instead of, as well as the normal cameos, now they're going to force feed a female to take the stage, and the man stands behind her. You've seen the posters, right? This is what they're going to do now, because they know if they gave Wanda her own movie, it would barely make 500 million. Look at the Black Widow movie as evidence. Now, you can argue about Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame. And there was a lot of hype, because there was a lot of hype and hate as well around that movie because of what Brie was saying about my gender and my age group. That helped hate. It doesn't matter what people are saying. If it trends on Twitter, people think, I better see that movie and see what the fuss is about. The issue wasn't with the movie. The issue was with what Brie was saying, which was rather toxic. Villager, who's a shill? Soups. Soups. So that's what they're doing now. Should I tell you what I'm getting from these actual reactions? I'm getting that this is a short and sweet 2-hour film with great VFX and adventure, which is more about Wanda than is Doctor Strange. It's cool, it's okay, but nothing special. That's what I get. Villager, Marvel Studios likes to pretend they're all for women power, but then they don't even give Black Widow a solo movie early on and would never give Wanda her own movie. Exactly. So they're just frying her in a Doctor Strange movie, saying, look what we did, and we gave her a Disney Plus show. What else do you want? Let me talk about Black Widow. Now, clearly, Scarlett Johansson is a critically acclaimed Oscar winner. If you've ever seen that movie she did with Bill Murray, Lost in Translation, that proves it. So what went wrong with the Black Widow film? Originally, right, she cameoed, well, she was in it quite a lot. She was in Iron Man 2. That's when she was introduced. It was perfect, really, to kind of sandwich her movie in between Incredible Hulk, between Iron Man 2 and maybe after Incredible Hulk. That would have worked because people would have loved it. But it should have been an R-rated movie where they actually give her origin story what it deserves. How about if she doesn't cameo in Iron Man 2 and we actually meet her first before she cameos? We get to know her story as a young woman growing up, going into the Red Room. A bloody, R-rated, robust movie. That would have been awesome. But Feige didn't want to do that. And I think at that time, they were an independent studio, so they could have done that. They weren't even owned by Disney after The Incredible Hulk, I don't think. It was a little bit after that. Wasn't it from the first Avengers onwards they were owned by Disney? I think so. So they were cowards. But it wasn't fashionable to represent women back then. So they didn't do it because they didn't believe females could really impact the box office. Now, women don't actually impact the box office that well. It's very rare in the history of Superman. I've got Superman in the brain. It's very rare in the history of cinema. And that's the thing. I mean, you look at Supergirl in '84, that was a flop. Obviously, you got Terminator 2 that did well because the woman was represented well. But take Arnie out of that movie, what have you got? You've obviously got Alien and Aliens, which obviously represents Ripley and Sigourney Weaver really well. But it's very rare. You've got the Accused movie with Jodie Foster. Again, a very compelling movie with a great actress. But mostly, it's men who have been involved with the successful movies. And it's men who mostly go to cinema. Men basically outrate the female audience from 6 to 1. And that's a fact. So if you're going to represent women, if you're going to represent them well, and you want every film to have, a woman being represented, that's great. But do her justice. Maybe this film has done her justice. We'll have to wait and see. Rewind the times. Wanda does steal the movie. She was excellent. Yeah, she steals the movie because they wanted her to rewind. Villager, Black Widow's message was ruined by the stupid humor. Well, the message was crap, and that's what the MCU do. They always mess up, their movies with too much humor. Somebody dies, a joke, because we can't feel a little bit low for it. We can't mourn anyone, right? Bat Super. Disney bought Marvel in 2009, I think. I'm not sure about that. Villager, I consider Captain Marvel a good movie, so do I. We shouldn't applaud mediocrity. Women deserve amazing movies to like Wonder Woman. Amazing movies too, like Wonder Woman. And that's right, Wonder Woman is a great representation of a female hero. But guess what they did really craftily? They had Chris Pine alongside Gal Gadot because they knew she was a very raw actress. Take Chris Pine away from that movie, I think the results would have been a little bit different. Just something I can see there. Rewind the times. Doctor Strange 2 it's entertaining, but as a DCEU fan, it hurts because this is their 28th movie in the MCU and Black Adam is DCU's 11th. And we've got to wait till October. Can't wait for that movie. Right. So they're the reactions of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So I'm going to end this live video now, and I'm going to come back with today's DCEU Daily in about 10 minutes' time. So please come back so we can discuss the current issues and headlines within the DCEU. Be back soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. A bit unorganized. I did it in a rush. I saw the reactions. I thought I'd do it. Try and amp up the channel a little bit. So I will see you in about 10 minutes' time. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Rewind the times. Doctor Strange 2 is it's entertaining, but oh no, I've read that, haven't I? Yeah, I have. Rewind the times. Good video, Mick. All right, I shall see you in 10 minutes for today's DCEU Daily. See you soon.